the harvest fields of western Ukraine. A bucolic landscape seemingly untouched by the struggle, violence and revolution which have so dominated its history. Through it all, the constant has been the land itself and the unbreakable bond between it and the people. But now, once again, forces from far beyond these fields are bearing down. The world is getting hungrier, the old wheat basket of Eastern Europe offering new opportunity. You could call it the latest foreign invasion. No tanks this time, but a state-of-the-art agricultural army on the move. The productive potential of this land unlocked 21st century style. To get the big picture, you need to get airborne. Well, from up here, it really is an impressive sight, and that's because the entire landscape of this part of western Ukraine is changing. It's changing dramatically and at great pace. The Libyans are negotiating for land here, the Russians too. But the combine harvesters down there belong to a British company, which is taking over vast swathes of Ukraine. This year, Landcom will harvest 60,000 tons of wheat from Ukrainian landholdings, totalling some 100 square miles. And all of this just 2.5 years after the company started.
You know what they say, make hay while the sun shines. We're making hay.
Richard Spinks is the boss of Landcom, a businessman, an entrepreneur.
Well, I'm criticised personally regularly for not being a farmer. But then I can say to people now, well, I have farmed more than you'll farm in your lifetime by hectares in 1 year.
It works like this. Most of the land in Ukraine is broken up into tiny plots, each allocated to a family. This field alone, for instance, was split into 190 different holdings. Landcom's success has been to negotiate thousands of lease deals to put together new mega farms.
Many of our fields are bigger than a UK farm. 2 years ago, this field would have been grass and weed, probably up to my waist. And this year it's producing 4 to 5 tons of wheat, which is double the national average of Ukraine.
Look around and it's easy to see why big international players see this as a place to grow new profits. An area of Ukraine said to be the size of England is overgrown and derelict. Good agricultural ground gone to seed. It's all the result of the collapse of the Soviet collective farms. For 2 decades there has simply been no money to develop farming here. A huge waste of potential food production. The farm manager has seen it all. Today the sign on Misha Taislik's larder says Landcom. But he was also the boss here in the Soviet times. And for him the years of waste have been deeply depressing. He's happy to see the change.
During the time of the Soviet Union, we used this land for many things. But it was hard physical labour, and we couldn't produce as much because we didn't have much modern equipment, good seeds or effective fertiliser. Then it all went to decay. Older people were disappointed to see their hard work lost, so they are happy now to see the land used because they feel that their hard work had purpose.
A couple of 100 metres down the hill feels like a couple of 100 years back in time. This is agriculture from a pre-mechanised age. It will hardly feed the world, but it does feed families. There's grudging respect here for the new techniques and super efficiency, but also regret that it's not Ukrainians holding the reins.
Every human being is a patriot of his own land. So, yes, it would be nice to have our own companies. We'd love that. But for right now, it is what it is. Whoever's got the money, they control the game.
But the choice here is not simply between 18th century and 21st century farming. There is a third way. Let's call it mid-1950s. Vasily Presner is head of the Regional Farmers Union. He told me he's not against foreign investment, but that ultimately it must be for the good of the Ukrainian people, not overseas corporations.
In this region, we're looking for people who will treat the land properly. We're looking for investors who want to invest in the things that are in our interests. It doesn't matter to me if you're English, Chinese or American, if foreigners do what's good for this place. That's just my personal opinion.
For Ukrainians, stalks have always been a sign of renewal and hope, and the arrival of big foreign money could indeed be good news for a cash-strapped country. Things here are now getting so big that even the grain silos have this huge cathedral-like quality. This place is 27 metres high, and listen to the echo. But in 10 days' time or so, you won't be able to hear anything in here because it will be completely full of grain. And at that point, they'll simply empty it out and start all...
Very good to trade the land.
To some, the idea of rich, powerful countries acquiring land in poor, underdeveloped ones is highly questionable, denounced as a land grab and neo-colonialism. But think on this, if the warnings of global food shortages are accurate, the basic terms of this debate may shift. The ethical emphasis then may not be on preserving the culture and autonomy of individual nations, but on increasing the food supply to a ravenous world.